Ideally, there's no right time to start creating content or to do whatever you want to do in life. There's no right time to it. Now is as good a time as any. I say this because a lot of people start giving up very early in their creator journey. So I say this because when you give up, the probability of it being a very successful venture is gone to waste because you're no more doing it. I say this because just keep at it, right? And I'm not sugarcoating anybody saying कि यार work हो ही जाएगा, मेहनत करना पड़ेगा. Patience should not be confused with lack of action. At the same time, keep putting in the work. Just don't give up.
Deepak Pareek on The Career Show. Content creation is the career up for discussion on today's podcast. Our guest today is a co-founder at Career Kida. He's a cricket enthusiast and he's popularly known for his content creation on Instagram Reels. He creates positive, millennial-friendly, thought-provoking content intended for self-improvement. His videos have crossed 10 million plus views online. We talk about everything related to content creation that you would want to know, from the future of content to finding new ways to generating revenue online. It is my pleasure to introduce Deepak Pareek on today's podcast and discuss with him the journey of his job. I will not reveal too much, rather just let you slip into the podcast. So hit that subscribe button, press that notification bell icon, and let's get started. Hi Deepak, what an honor to have you on the Career Show. Thank you so much for taking the time out and doing this for my audience. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Trishank, for having me. It's an honor. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah. Looking forward to a good conversation.
So let's get started by talking about cricket. So I know you played cricket for your college team, for your school team, and also the second division of West Bengal, if I'm correct. What are your bets? I know you're definitely rooting for India, but do you think India
Yeah,
is
yeah,
going to
correct.
chase that target of 160?
100%, 100%. I am definitely rooting for India for sure. I think in today's match, definitely. I think Surya Kumar is a good bet for today. Surya Kumar and Ishan Kishan, both of them are making their debut, so I'm rooting for them. Bets on India for sure. Hopefully, they seal the victory.
Well, I had to ask that question because two cricket fanatics in a conversation, creating content while there's an India match going on. So I had to get started with that. But let's talk about content creation. That's what you're known for. When did you start creating content? The first time you created content, when was that?
4th of August 2018. That was the first. That was the first day I put out my first video on YouTube and on Facebook and on Instagram. So I think that same video was repurposed on all three platforms, and so that's when I started creating content. And that on that very day I was hated on. Somebody started, shared the video saying that what a waste of time, what a waste of money. Why do you have to do this? So, why do you have to bring change? Why do you have to be the only one doing that? And all of those things. And that is somewhere the journey began. That is somewhere the journey started. And it's been wonderful so far. It's been 2.5 years of me creating content and putting it out there on the internet, and it's been phenomenal. I've seen a lot of dark phases in this journey of mine. I've seen a lot of highs in this journey of mine, and I feel it's just brilliant to be a creator and just putting value out there, listening to the audience, see what they want to hear, and then eventually put that message out there with a little twist of what I do. So yeah, it's been a fairly good journey so far.
Wow, 2.5 years. That's a long time, and you have a long, long way to go. I will get on hatred towards the end of the podcast, but something that I want to talk to you about next is when you get this kind of hatred, you do tend to get afraid from putting yourself out there. One of your famous reels is titled, "Are you afraid of public speaking?" The other day you told me that you were an introvert yourself. So how did that transformation take place from being an introvert to putting yourself out there in front of thousands and hundreds of millions of people?
I was a huge consumer of YouTube content. I used to watch a lot of YouTubers create content, and I was a super introvert when I was back in school. So when I was in school, I used to never speak up in class. I used to never participate in events. I used to never be the person who used to participate in debates and MUNs and extempore competitions. I was always active in sports. I was active in
Mm-hmm.
cricket. I was active in badminton. I was never active in these extracurricular speaking events per se. So it started my speaking journey, or rather, my content creation journey is obviously related to speaking, right? Me putting myself out there is requires certain sense of confidence in terms of speaking to the camera. So yeah, I think coming back to the story, when I was in class 11, I spoke on stage for the first time. And I made a complete fool of myself in front of more than 1,000 students. I remember I was hosting this patriotic song competition that we used to have in school, and I was the host of that particular event, and I made a complete fool of myself. I thought that इसमें क्या है यार, ठीक है, stage पे जाके बोलना ही तो है, बोल देते हैं. But easier said than done. I thought this would have been an easy task, but no. As soon as I stepped on the podium, my hands started shaking, my feet started trembling. Just to say a simple hello and good morning, it took me like what 10 minutes or so just to calm myself down on stage. And then I'm seeing my teacher standing right next to me, telling me, and she's giving me that stare that I dare you dare not step off stage right now. You have to complete what you've been told to complete it and then come off stage. Otherwise, don't come off stage. I was like, okay, I have to do this now. I've chosen to do this. I knew that in order to put myself out there, in order to fight the fear of public speaking, I need to understand what will I become after I conquer the fear of public speaking. And I had to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, yaar, ye fear kuch karna padega. So I just went out there and started speaking in public as much as I could, grabbed every single opportunity that came my way, and just started speaking. So eventually, I think that's where I thought that okay, this is something I need to do. I need to fight this fear of public speaking. I need to put myself out there and see what happens. And eventually, like first 10 to 20 videos, like badly tanked. Like I wasn't. I thought, yeah, videos are not working. Is it the speaking problem? Is it the content problem? Is it the editing problem? What exactly is the problem?
Mm-hmm.
Eventually I realized that okay, this is something that happens with every single person out there. When you start something new, you feel like okay, you can do it, or you're because you're a beginner, you worry that okay, this is something that I would want to try. I might not be very good at it, but I want to explore myself. And that's where the journey began. I kept on putting out content, kept on putting out content. So speaking engagement started coming in later on when they saw that okay, my content somehow got picked up. So then a lot of speaking engagement started coming up. Some TED talks happened, which was like I wasn't expecting this at all. I mean, there was a dream always wanted to walk up on that stage and deliver a speech. I always used to watch TED talks, but to be able to stand there and deliver three talks is just magnificent. So I think that only happened because I exposed myself out there on the internet just to try myself, just to see कि यार क्या चल रहा है क्या नहीं चल रहा है. And that's the only way I've learned. That's the
Mm-hmm.
only way I've learned.
Mm-hmm. The story of your 11th standard profile reminded me of a post you made on LinkedIn, the brand deal one, if you remember
Yeah.
that, wherein it was your first brand event and you were given a script, and as soon as the camera started, you went blank. So,
Yeah. When I saw the script for the first time, I was like, I'm very conscious. I wasn't able to speak to the camera. I forgot my lines. I wasn't able to concentrate well. And that's the point, and that's the whole beauty of the journey. So I think
yeah.
I take immense pride in whatever I've done and the kind of fear that I've fought. It's just magnificent. Yeah.
No, the reason I actually brought that up is because that reminded me of that incident and a phrase that I also saw on your LinkedIn. And the phrase is trust the process.
100%.
What importance has this phrase played in your life or in your career?
I heard this from MS Dhoni. He was at an event, at an event where he was addressing a pool of people, young people, and I remember that he was saying, "आप हारो या फिर आप जीतो उससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. आपको प्रोसेस में मजा आना चाहिए. अगर आप वो कर रहे हो और उसमें आपको प्रोसेस में मजा आ रहा है, eventually you will like the outcome, irrespective of whatever it is, irrespective of whether it's turned out to be well, it's turned out to be bad. I don't care. if you just enjoy the process, trust the process. And that is what he had mentioned in one of his speaking engagements, which has stuck with me throughout.
Mhm.
So that comes from MS Dhoni, which I absolutely idolize. Secondly, regret is poison. Gary Vee says regret is poison because that's what he's been brought up with, the kind of mindset he was. I'm sure you must have heard of Gary Vee, right?
Mhm.
So, so Gary Vee basically says that you have to even just just do whatever you want to do. Don't regret it later on, right? Regret is poison. It'll eat your head up later on. If you feel you want to try this out, try this out. Don't live your life in regrets. So I think these two things I really stand by the most and I most believe in. I was actually doing a trek on in 2017 after my college ended. There was this college grad trip that three of my friends, and we'd gone for a trek. So we'd gone to this place called Roopkund in Uttarakhand. It's the summit is 16,500 feet above sea level, and so it was a 7 day trek. Okay, we reached the summit on the seventh day, and we were like, "This is it. That's it. Ab kya? What to do next? अब तो नीचे जाना है वापस." So the journey of reaching the top is what will make the top beautiful.
Mhm.
Okay? That's just the example I'm taking. The journey towards the top will make the top beautiful. If you don't enjoy the journey, you might not enjoy the outcome. Right?
Mhm.
Which is why trust the process has played a huge role in whatever I've done, be it content creation, be it entrepreneurship, be it playing cricket, be it my public speaking journey, be it anything. Trust the process has helped me sail any difficulty that I ever came across.
So, fun fact, MS Dhoni is my idol as well. He is my idol in the sense that even though I'm from Mumbai, during the IPL, I support Chennai instead of Mumbai. That's how big of a fan I am of MSD. The fact that I was already inspired from the race, trust the process, the fact that I know now it's from MSD it's going to stick with me throughout. Even that phrase, regret is poison, is something that I really live by as well. There are a couple of things I regret. One is not joining cricket coaching when I was small. And the reason I bring
Yeah,
that up is because I had this here to start this podcast. I was so passionate about it. And I knew that if I did not do it, I would face the same regret that I faced in regards to my cricket coaching.
yeah, absolutely.
So I'm so glad you bring that up. But a lot of people don't know that you're currently at university in the UK. And the reason I want to bring that up is because for a lot of people, content creation is becoming like a side hustle. So they do that while doing other things as well. That being said, content creation in itself is a full time job, right? So, how do you manage your time between your assignments at university, your content creation journey, and your edtech entrepreneurship career, Kida? How do you manage your time? Because I think that is super important to learn as a skill.
100%. So I'm so glad you bring this up because not a lot of people know about this. I came to the UK 2 months back in Jan when the situation was not very good in terms of
Mhm.
the COVID situation. There were two reasons why I chose to do this year. One is I always wanted to live an independent life. I've always been brought up in Calcutta. Always stayed in Calcutta. My schooling, my entire schooling, my education, my school, my college, my entire work life has been in Calcutta. So my 24, 25 years of my life, I've been in Calcutta. I do not have that experience of living independently, living with maybe two or three other of my friends, living an independent life, managing my finance all by myself, making food every single day, cleaning your house, cleaning your bed every single day is something that I really wanted to experience that life, and that is something that I'm doing it right now, which are
Mhm.
which are skills that are just unmatchable. No amount of degree can match
100%.
this skill that you have. Because if I wasn't when I was at home, I didn't have that pressure of making food or make thinking of what to make for lunch and dinner. Now I have that pressure कि यार मेरे को अभी dinner में क्या बनाना है, right? So that's number one. I wanted to live that life. Second, I chose to do this course on entrepreneurship and management because it helps, because I am a first gen entrepreneur. right? Nobody in my family has ever been an entrepreneur before. They've done businesses, but there's a difference between running a startup and having a traditional business.
Mhm.
So I'm a first gen entrepreneur and I wanted to understand what exactly entails entrepreneurship, what exactly entrepreneurship is, what exactly management is, what's the culture of this particular country in the European side. So if it's the UK, if it's European countries like Paris, France, etc. What are the cultures of these particular countries? What are the mindsets of the people here? Because we might expand internationally as well. So this could
Mhm.
prove to be a really good asset for us in terms of expanding our base internationally as well. So if one of the partners, that is me and my partner is Mohit. So Mohit is in Calcutta. He's looking after business in Calcutta from Calcutta. But if I am here, I might just crack maybe two deals here and get the startup up and running here in the UK as well. So that
Mhm.
was the motive: A, to learn more about entrepreneurship; B, to learn more, to expand internationally in the UK and the European markets; and C, to learn and have an independent life, which I'm sure is an altogether different experience altogether. I'm sure you must have experienced that life because you've studied in the US, so you obviously must have understood how that life feels like. And managing, I think, regarding managing
Mhm.
all of it that I'm doing is I absolutely love from the bottom of my heart. And I'm doing it because I genuinely have a passion for it. And I love doing all of these things. The business is my baby. We've given birth to that baby, right? And I don't want to let go of that. Content is something that has given me so much. And I absolutely love, I'm mad about creating content because my mind now works about how to create content. Today in this conversation, I might just pick up two ideas and make a reel out of it, maybe tomorrow or day
Mhm.
after. That is how my mind works right now. So
Mhm.
just something that whatever I'm doing, I'm loving every single bit of it, and it automatically gets managed. It
Mhm.
automatically gets managed. मेरे को मेहनत करना ही नहीं पड़ता है, and that's the beauty of it. So I think that answers that question.
No, no, 100%. I mean, I'm so glad you brought up the fact that when you go abroad, you learn so much other than just sitting in class and getting that academics into your head. Yes, it's correct that you only pay money or tuition for academics, but there are
Yeah,
so many other things that you learn at the time. I really relate with you because before going abroad to study, even I was so dependent upon my entire family, my mom, my dad. Everything was so easy for me. And all of that just changed in a second as soon as I started living by myself. I've learned the importance of everything I had, which I took for granted earlier.
absolutely, bang on. And I think it's a beautiful place to be in because if you have the privilege and you have the liberty to go out there and live a life where you can do every single thing by yourself, and you have the liberty to go outside and study abroad, this experience is definitely unmatchable.
But interesting you brought up that everything gets manageable when you love it. Because I
Yeah.
know your passion for content creation. You told me you see yourself doing content creation for a long while. And I wanted to ask you, do you see the future? And the reason I ask that is because do you think it's important to see the future as a content creator? Because content is evolving every year. And we'll get to what do you think about the evolution of content? But do you see the future?
100%. And I do see where the future is going in terms of my future, A, and B, the content's future in general. So I'm super bullish on the kind of content that's being put out there on the internet by creators right now because there's so much potential in terms of the kind of content that's being put out there, right? The entire landscape of marketing is changing. The entire landscape of probably how I see it is TV commercials will soon be a fad. It will end, and soon and next people will start or rather invest more heavily on influencer marketing because that will provide more and more reach to brands, right? And not only as a creator in terms of helping brands, creators who have built an audience for themselves can become startup co-founders, can start their business of their own, right? You see so many people start businesses just because they started creating content and they converted that content, their audience base, into a legit viable business, right? So if you have a following, if you have a solid cult like following, you can convert that into a business. So yeah, I think I see myself creating content for the longest time possible. I don't see myself stopping any moment because we're just getting started. We're just getting warmed up now, right? But for the longest time possible, I will keep on adding value and keep creating content as much as I can. That's for sure. That's for sure. Regarding future of content, it's gonna drastically change. It's gonna drastically change in terms of the consumption patterns because this pandemic has
Hmm.
taught us that content consumption is becoming the new big thing where so many people want so many. If you talk about movies, talk about short form content, talk about web series, talk about anything you have at the tip of your hand. So I see the future in terms of for myself, me creating content for the longest time possible. And I want to try out 10 different things. I want to, because this is something that I've already done, and I want to try out 10 more things. I want to launch a podcast of my own for sure, 100%. I'm saying this on record. I am launching a podcast within the next year, 100%, 100%. Okay. Also, long form content in terms of maybe having a talk show, maybe having whatever. I could do whatever, like right. So in terms of me creating content, I see myself very bullish. And B, in terms of the future of content, I see it growing drastically as it has grown, as we've seen in the pandemic as well.
I'm so excited to hear that you're going to be starting your own podcast. I'm so looking forward to it. You have my 100% support for it. But I'm so glad you brought up TV commercials and content creators starting their own startups because it's a known fact. Content creation is a huge business. Like there's a lot of money in the industry,
Right,
but people
right.
don't know how content creators make money. Do you want to touch on a few aspects of how content creators make money just to make sure that people are aware about this fact and there's more knowledge about it out there?
You can create any piece of content out there that you are most comfortable in. So that's number one. Number two, if you want to start creating content and ultimately monetize your content, say for example, you're creating content on YouTube. Okay. There could be various angles to you earning or monetizing your content. A, when you have a base, when you fit in the required criteria for YouTube to start pay you, which is 4,000 watch hours for the last 12 months, a thousand subscribers, etc., etc., you then are eligible to monetize your content. So that is one thing. So if you're starting off as a YouTuber, start building your base on YouTube and start satisfying those key points, those criteria where you feel that okay, this is something that I can work on and I can monetize those content. So YouTube will pay you depending on, I still don't understand how YouTube pays in terms of whether it's views, whether it's likes, whether it's, I don't know what that is. Yeah, I'm yet to figure out. But there's so YouTube AdSense ad money is one money that you earn via YouTube. Second is of course brand deals, brand collaborations. So there will be brand deals who will come up to you and tell you that okay, we'd like to collaborate with you. Um, we could probably give you this product. We could probably give you cash. We could probably whatever. There could be different deals in terms of different brands. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of barter deals because this is something that I'm not a huge fan of. If you feel I'm providing value, why would you just give me a tit for tat? Just pay me and I'll do it for you.
Correct.
And it should not look like you are running an ad. You're doing it purposely. It should look like a user generated content. It should look like I have just generated content because I have to do it. Because
Mhm.
when it looks like an ad, the consumers feel that okay यार ये तो सिर्फ ad ही कर रहा है
Correct.
ये
100%.
है ना. तो this should look like a user generated content. It should not look like an ad, which is what I totally focus on. Thirdly, there are a lot of platforms where you can build personalized communities and earn it via those communities. So there is this platform called Patreon. You must have heard of it. You can build paid
Correct.
communities there and monetize your content. Uh, there's this one of my school friends startup called Tag Mango. I'm creating content on Tag Mango as well. So where I'm building personalized communities with people who want to stay connected with me on a personal level. So
Mhm.
these could be some of the angles of monetizing your content as a creator.
And just to talk about YouTube ads, just to bring more light to it, the way YouTube pays you depends upon the amount of content is watched by the people. So if you have a 6 minute video and people are watching the entirety of 6 minutes and are giving you a like and comment, that's when they start paying you more compared to if your videos are not
Okay.
getting enough interaction, they pay you less. And depending upon they pay you for per thousand views, which is very common in the industry. That's how Spotify does it. That's how YouTube does it. So it depends
Okay.
upon the interaction on your
Okay.
content. Earlier, you mentioned that the pandemic has taught us a lot about content creation. For example, TikTok and Instagram Reels just shot up during the pandemic. A new upcoming app right now is Clubhouse for audio based content. What are your thoughts on that? And what are your thoughts on these upcoming apps for content creators? Do you think people should focus on that, or how do they find the perfect app for them?
Um, okay. Regarding Clubhouse, I feel that um, because as of now it is an invite only option because they are testing out the phase and this is only for iPhone users. So, I mean, they're testing it out. Right now, there is also an interesting option called Twitter Spaces, where you can have audio interactions with Twitter space with folks you want to have interaction with, and people can join that room and listen to the conversation, right? So, regarding Clubhouse, I mean, I do not have much data to make a conclusion on.
Mhm.
So I haven't been on Clubhouse yet, so I really don't know how the interface works, how things work. So it becomes very difficult for me to comment on Clubhouse at the moment because I haven't tried it out myself. I've heard
That
about it.
makes sense. That makes sense.
Regarding platform, I think depends on one, which is where the attention is. Know where the attention is. Right now, the attention is on Instagram Reels and LinkedIn and Twitter. So these three platforms are where the attention is. It is providing insane amount of organic reach if you create extremely engaging content on Instagram Reels and LinkedIn, right? Doesn't matter if you have 500 followers or 200 followers or 200 connections on your LinkedIn profile, your post can still reach a million people. It can still reach, even if you have like 500 followers on Instagram, your Instagram reel can still give you a million views, right? Your LinkedIn, if one of your posts on LinkedIn goes viral, it might still give you like 50,000 views or 100K views on that particular post, right? So think about where the attention is right now. Where are the consumers spending and diverting all their energy and time on? Right now, it is on Instagram Reels and LinkedIn. Focus on these two platforms because these two platforms are providing insane organic reach. Facebook organic reach is dead. It is dead. Facebook makes sense if you want to run ads and convert those ads into potential customers. That makes sense on for Facebook, but not for organic content. Organic reach is dead for Facebook. So it doesn't matter where you are creating content unless you are sure that okay, where the attention is right now, where are the consumers spending more and more time on, what's the consumer base that you're building. If you have a huge base on Twitter, why not create content, become a Twitter influencer? For example, my major following is from Instagram, but right now I'm also building my LinkedIn and Twitter community. I'm also building these side by side. A year later, when I start my podcast, I will go heavy on YouTube content as well. I'll start live streaming as well, right? So I'm going to build all platforms as much as I can. That's the
Mhm.
ultimate goal because what if that platform goes away the very next day? What do you do next? So
Correct.
many people had TikTok, right? They had like 500K, 600K followers. It just went away. They left with nothing now, right? So it's very important to build an alternate base as well.
No, I completely agree with you. I'm so glad you bring up TikTok because that's a very prime example of people lost their followers. So I'm so glad you brought that out. And just in terms of Clubhouse, just a quick note to the viewers to keep a quick check on that because I'm also not super huge on Clubhouse yet, but I've attended a couple of town halls hosted by the founders, and they have some really interesting updates coming up. So just keep an eye out for that. But since we're on the topic of choosing the right platform and building alternate bases, I also wanted to talk about finding your niche and picking your niche. That's something that you have spoken about very commonly on your reels as well. Do you want to talk about how one can find their niche?
Lovely. Two quick points to answer that question. A, create what you love until you love creating.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when you start creating content, you're not in the habit of creating content. You don't know what works. You don't know what's working and what's not working. You just go with the mindset that you want to pick your camera, or even if it's audio, you want to go out there and just create content in terms of your audio podcast and just put your content out there, right? For beginners, for people who want to start creating content on things that you love until you love the process of creating in itself. Say,
Mm-hmm.
for example, you are absolutely passionate about maybe stories of life, maybe stories of people, maybe you're passionate about cricket, you're passionate about music, you're passionate about dance. Whatever you are passionate about, start creating content on those topics till the time you realize that you've already loved or loved the process of creating. Eventually, you
Mm-hmm.
can then explore and try out 10 different things. But start with something you love until you love the process of creating in itself, and then try out 10 different things to understand what you truly love, what you truly don't. Because once you try out one thing, you might realize, okay, this is working, let's do more of this. But what if the other piece of content also works, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've tried poetry as well. I've tried social experiments as well. I've tried sitting in front of the camera and speaking to the camera. I've tried talking about conspiracy theories as well. There's a lot that I've tried. Some have worked, some have tanked really bad. So you have to understand what to try and what not to try. Try out 10 different things. Start with something that you love until you start loving the process of creating. Regarding selection of niche, don't just fixate yourself on the norm that is being set by creators out there that, okay, आज fashion, beauty, lifestyle, travel, educational, finance, marketing, ये सब के ऊपर ही content बन सकता है. No, do not fixate yourself on those topics. If you feel you can create a niche as long as you feel there's a market for it.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you feel there's a market for it, you can create any niche that you think you can create,
Mm-hmm.
because that is something that really matters. Did you ever think reaction videos could be a niche? No, right? You're just reacting on a video. Your video, that video that you're reacting on, is not your original piece. You are reacting on a video, right? It's a huge niche now. We see Tanmay Bhatt doing it and doing so well. It's insane. It's insane. So reaction videos is a niche. If you feel you are good with maybe reacting to other people's content, or maybe adding humor to it, because humor works. A little humor hurts nobody, and that is why I also try and add little bits and pieces of humor wherever I can, because I know humor works. Humor works wonders, right? So with that being said, you can choose your niche. You can create your own niche as well. Do not assume that, okay, yaar, I'm not comfortable with beauty, fashion, lifestyle, marketing, finance. Will I be able to create content? You absolutely can. You can create your own niche as long as you can create a market for it. If you can create a market for it, go ahead and do it. Absolutely bang on.
I'm so glad you brought up that people only think finance, marketing, fashion are the only things that people think are the topics that you can talk about, because those are the topics that go viral. Whereas the content that I create is not, or you create as well at a certain point, is not that people will go ha 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 ha, because we might like humor or some kind of entertainment, because we are more educational.
Yeah,
So I'm so glad you
correct.
brought that up, because trust me, even though your content would not be viral or classified as viral, it can still go viral. And Deepak is a proof of that for you. And the second thing that I wanted to talk about, I mentioned this earlier, and it came to my mind because you said the word tanked. Came up as hatred, and I just wanted to bring that topic again. I need to ask you this: how do you deal with hatred?
When you start creating content on social, you might receive a lot of hatred. Okay, when you feel that, just just assume or just have a close look at the profiles that are hating on you. In 99% of the cases, that profile will have a weird username. That profile will not have a normal human being kind of name to it, right? That's A. B, the follower following ratio will be absolutely weird. They'll have zero followers. They'll follow like 5,000 people. That's point two. Point three, there'll be no DP. There'll be no display picture. What does this say about that person? A, he is insecure as hell. He's so insecure that he had to hide behind a different name, not reveal his identity on the internet, and just blatantly hate on that particular person. This should not affect you. This should not affect you. B, if people are hating on you, how do you find whether it's actual hate or constructive criticism? It's just pure language. When people tell you, "Hey, chalna nikalna yahan se," that's hate. When people tell you, uh, Deepak, I love the entire video, but I would really appreciate if you could change this and this in your video, and or maybe speak a little slowly or speak a little faster. That would be great for us as an audience. But nonetheless, great content, keep it up. The only way I deal with it is I look at the language, and I see if that deserves my attention or not. If it's nonsense, just ignore it. If it's constructive feedback, reply to it.
Mhm.
You have to have a thick skin. Those little pieces of content should not affect you. Those little, because this is a long-term game. You might have 1,000 followers. You will grow to 10K. You will go to 100K. You will grow to 500K. If you don't have a thick skin, you will not be able to focus your mind into creating that next best piece of content. Have a thick skin, but with that being said, follow the previous 3 points that I mentioned.
Wow, I think that is some great advice. It's been a great podcast, Deepak. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you have enjoyed it. I have one last question to you before I let you go. What is one advice you wish you had received when you started this journey back 4 to 5 years ago?
Keep doing it no matter what. I say this because continue doing it no matter what, and start, because a lot of people need that push. Yeah, I want to start creating content, but मेरे को नहीं पता कैसे करूँ या कब करूँ. Ideally, there's no right time to start creating content or to do whatever you want to do in life. There's no right time to it. Now is as good a time as any. I say this because a lot of people start giving up very early in their creator journey. So I say this because when you give up, the probability of it being a very successful venture is gone to waste. The entire probability of success is gone if you give up, because you've given up, right? That the entire probability of it being successful or could have been successful is gone, because now you're no more doing it. I say this because just keep at it. Just keep at it, right? And I'm not sugarcoating anybody saying कि यार work हो ही जाएगा, मेहनत करना पड़ेगा. Gary Vee said patience should not be confused with lack of action, right? So you need to be patient. At the same time, keep putting in the work. Just don't give up. And that is something that one advice that I wish I got, because I was this close to just shutting it down and just closing everything and just go कि यार ठीक है जो कुछ और करते हैं अब. But I'm glad I didn't, and that is something that I'd like to propagate as well. So just start. Don't think too much. इतना मत सोचो, because अगर आप इतना सोचोगे कि कैमरा नहीं है, वीडियो क्वालिटी कैसा होगा, ये होगा, वो होगा, you will figure out. You will figure it out. Just start.
I completely agree with you. There's no denial in that. And with that, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you onto the show. I hope you had a great time as well. And thank you once again.
I had a lovely time, Krishank. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm a sucker for conversations. So when I have good conversations, I don't feel like I don't just have a look at the time, but it's already been an hour. And I mean, I didn't even realize it's already been an hour. So thank you for having me, Krishank. Thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. And to the audience who's stuck by till now, thank you for hearing us. If you have any feedback for me or for Krishank, do let us know, and we'll improve ourselves as much as we can so that we can offer as much good quality content as we promised to.
I hope you enjoyed this week's career discussion. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Also, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Your support means a lot.